Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi looked upon his old enemy of Maul, who had just fallen at his blade for a final time, and together they believed that Luke Skywalker was the chosen one. The Jedi looked to the last homestead as Luke ran back into his home, and it would be a wait of another 2 years for Obi-Wan to introduce Luke to the Force. The moisture farmer's stepson had been searching for droids to help with duties in the homestead, but unknowingly chanced upon the protocol droid C-3PO and the astromech R2-D2, both of whom had been in possession of the plans of the Death Star. Luke is guided to Obi-Wan, initially seeking for a Ben Kenobi, and the Jedi Master uses the opportunity to lure Luke into helping him, and completing what Vader could not. Luke is initially hesitant, but on the journey to Anchorhead, he discovers that Beru and Owen have been killed by the Empire, and decides to join Obi-Wan. The son of Anakin Skywalker would become the beacon of the rebellion, and eventually help to destroy the Sith and the Empire. But what if Luke had remained as a moisture farmer? How would it affect the chances of the rebellion? As you're going to find out, the history of the galaxy could have been a lot different. In the modest home of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Jedi Master realises that years of careful planning for Luke's Jedi training had led to nothing. Luke's attachment to the farmer's life had been more powerful than he had imagined, and he decided to accept Luke's offer to take him to Anchorhead. The Jedi was aware that the Empire was after the droids, and hoped that Luke could sense what had happened to the last home, and to his relief, he turned back to Beru and Owen. Unfortunately, upon seeing the burning of his home and the remains of Beru and Owen, Luke was determined to remain on the moisture farm and restore the area to its former glory. Obi-Wan turned away in annoyance, but Luke did at least take him to the spaceport of Mos Eisley, along with R2-D2 and C-3PO. Without Luke, the last hope for the Jedi is Leia, but with her capture, the Jedi decides to use an emergency line of transmission to the planet of Alderaan, where Bail Organa is pleased to hear from the Jedi Master, and that Leia had survived the Empire's attack on the Tantive 4. Bail and Breha leave the planet upon the discovery of R2-D2, having the plans for the Death Star, and find the superweapon gradually moving to their planet. The Senator tries to issue the evacuation of the planet, but he had been too late, as the battle station eviscerated all life on his home planet, and they despondently travel to the rebel base on Yavin 4. Obi-Wan had feared that the Empire would be starting to impose their new power on such a scale, and rushed into Mos Eisley's cantina. The Jedi is not deterred by the seedy characters that roam the place, and spots a familiar face in the form of the Wookiee Chewbacca. Although he had not seen him before, he had heard about his efforts on the forest moon of Trandosha, and helping Jedi Padawan Ahsoka Tano, and the Wookiee roared in approval. Han Solo is convinced by his friend to lower the price for the Jedi Master, and they travel to Yavin 4 to join with the Rebel Alliance, planning to rescue Leia and destroy the space station. General Dodonna sets out an ambitious plan to launch a proton torpedo into the Death Star's core, and Obi-Wan wants to travel alone and avoid detection. Murmurs across the Rebel clearly pointed doubt of the Jedi Master, until the familiar figure of Rex entered the room and requested to join the Jedi Master. Alongside R2-D2, they venture aboard a Rebel cargo ship, but despite their best efforts, and the distraction provided by Rebel Squadron, they cannot avoid the tractor beam. Obi-Wan and Rex are not deterred, as the former clone trooper uses stormtrooper armor to pretend as if Obi-Wan was a prisoner before the Jedi launches into action and cuts through the Imperial officers around him. The duo descended through the lifts to the detention area, and with the use of several mind tricks, Obi-Wan convinces the stormtroopers to leave and open Leia's cell. As the Jedi approach the sleeping Leia, he sensed something wrong in the Force. Back on Tatooine, Luke had been repairing the last home and made makeshift graves for Beru and Owen outside of the area. As he buried a hole in the ground, he felt something odd and found more bones beneath the surface, discovering Shmi Skywalker and Cliegg Lars. Luke had heard little of them and sought to discover more, as well as what Obi-Wan had told him about his father, after he had repaired the moisture vaporators connected to the hydroponic garden. As he tinkered with a motion detector, he heard the voices of stormtroopers breach the area and grabbed his hunting rifle. Luke accurately dispatched of the first few intruders, but he could do nothing about the big battalion and then the Tusken Raiders, falling to the floor. The Imperial officers took Luke's speeder and dragged him to the Imperial garrison base in Mos Eisley, and a new life was about to begin for Luke, or so it seemed. That is it for part 1 of what if Luke Skywalker continued to be a farmer. If you'd like to see a part 2 soon, please like this video, turn on that notification bell, click that subscribe button on this channel, as well as on my other channel What If Films. And as always, leave a comment on what if you'd all like to see next, and how I can improve my videos. Thank you all very much for watching, and see you next time.